Hey guys, welcome back to Set of Sessions, 4 p.m. BST on a Thursday. Joe is back with me today. Rather than just give him his wisdom, as he regularly does when he comes on the show, today we're going to go in depth with Joe Reichsfeld. Welcome to the Joe. Welcome to the Joe Show. Welcome to the show, Joe. How you doing? You good?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just going to share to the groups. Do you want to let the guys know what you've been up to this week, and then we'll get into your story.
Okay. What have I been up to this week? This week, we're working on rewriting my Pinterest workshop, and I just finished up a new workshop about hashtag marketing, driving your brand growth and traffic using that. And I'm working on a big project of building a marketing machine over the course of 6 months. So pre-marketing your product and being ready to explode on launch day, whether it's on Amazon or not, or both.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So let's dial it back. Let's take it way back to when you were a wee lad.
I don't remember that.
Did you have the entrepreneurial chops then? So, I mean, when did it all kind of start for you? If we take back to your childhood, because I want to go back there.
I started my first business when I was 7, delivering holiday cards by hand in the neighborhood that I lived in.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't know this, but it's against the law to compete with the United States Post Office, or at least it was then. Mm-hmm. So the postal inspector showed up at my house with a marshal,
right,
to talk to me about it. They didn't know I was a kid. And my dad was a New York City cop. So they showed up. I mean, the marshal shows up with handcuffs and stuff. And my dad just kind of laughed and told him that I was busy taking a nap. They would need to come back later. So that was my first business experience.
So how did that feel, though, being as young as you were? Were you terrified of that because of authorities? You don't know. Your dad's a cop, like you said.
My dad was a cop. I wasn't afraid of anything, actually.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it was cool because, my dad, he made us earn what we had, so we were shoveling snow, and I had a newspaper route when I was 11. I still have the stereo that I bought from the money I saved up for my newspaper route.
Wow.
And then moved here to Arizona, and just one thing after another. When I got out of high school, I already had a business. Well,
before we get there, parenting. Let's talk about your parents. Your dad was he's obviously on a monthly check. He's a respectable person within the community and stuff. So obviously, did you look up to him? And what was?
Yeah. He was he was a New York City cop during crazy times. So. And he was a gun instructor at the police academy. So it was really cool. I grew up going to the police academy, shooting guns, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I learned how to drive in a New York City police van.
Right.
But then we moved here.
Hopefully not at 7, right?
No, I was 11. I was 12, 11 or 12. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Then we moved here, and everything's different out here. I went from the city to a small town with 58 kids in my 8th grade graduating class, which really sucked. I really did not like that at all. I thought we moved to hell. But then I got a dirt bike and started rabbit hunting after school every day, and working, opened a business, and just fell in love with it out here. It's gorgeous out here. It's spring already from now until April. Wow. I'm in shorts for the rest of the year.
Wow, that's great. So back to the school times. Were you academic? Did you like school? Did you hate it, or what?
I graduated high school in 2.5 years, and I graduated college before I was done with the university when I was 18. They wouldn't let me walk until I was 20. So I hated it, actually. I hated school, and I wanted to get out and get it into business. Really, it was my motivation. So I just worked really hard and got through it. I was a straight A student, though. I was the kid that everybody hated because I never opened a textbook in my life.
But you still managed to, when it counted, nailed and got your grades in.
I was a straight A student without trying. It really pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah. I think that would rub a lot of people up the wrong way, wouldn't they, at that age? So that was your first job with getting in trouble with the postal service. You was having a nap. Your dad sent them away. What happened there in terms of work? What was you doing? I know that we'll get into the businesses you left school.
Shoveling snow, we were shoveling snow, and then in New York you can start a paper route when you're 11 or 10.
Yeah.
So I started delivering, and it was collect, the front door thing. You had to collect the fees. I did that for a few years, and just started saving money, and I did really well from that. That was an everyday thing after school. It was afternoon paper, so it worked out. So when I moved here, I had money in the bank, and then got in the restaurant business and started doing stuff through that.
So we don't run ahead too fast. So you left school 16, 17, 18. How old was you when you finished high school?
High school, I was 16, and I was already in college then. I went to high school and college at the same time.
Right, gotcha. And then the first business, let's talk about that.
My first business was a catering company.
Yeah.
And when I was at the university, the thesis for my degree was a feasibility study on a catering company that focused on candlelight dinners for two in the home.
Yeah.
So I'd send somebody to your house. They'd cook dinner there right in front of you for you and your wife. They'd clean up and they'd leave. They'd come. We brought all our own equipment. We left with all our own equipment.
Right.
It's really cool. And I was the youngest person in the school. We had to present our thesis as we're going along. So as I was going along, these people started offering me all kinds of money, funding for backing and stuff before I even finished the thesis. So I actually opened the company before I finished my thesis, and started doing really well.
Cool.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So what year are we looking at here with that?
Shit, 86.
86.
Yeah,
okay.
85, 86, 87.
And so did you have a proper mullet haircut as well? Did you do the 80s things?
No.
No.
Well, yeah, for a little while I did, but I had long hair. Before that, I had long hair. Once I was out of school, I had short hair and was doing the business thing.
Cool. So let's run a timeline. So from that first business, walk me through it. Did you learn stuff from it? Did you shut it down? Was it a disaster or what?
Well, I started in the restaurant business when I was 13, and I worked in the same restaurant for 4 years for 5 different owners. For actually 4 years for 3 owners, but 5 times. The first guy sold it, got it back, sold it, got it back.
Yeah.
So I learned 3 different ways of doing the exact same thing. And that really opened my eyes to, hey, there's a million different ways to accomplish things. I really learned a lot about, alternate strategies and stuff like that. And the restaurant business in Arizona is rough, to say the least, especially in a small town. So we were actively marketing, and by the time the original guy got it back the second time, I was managing the place. Yeah. So when I graduated,
quick question: when you say rough, are we talking about gangsters coming in collecting collection money, or are we talking about rough to long hours and stuff like that?
Long hours, a lot of marketing, but we're also talking about gangsters burning down their own restaurants for insurance money.
Okay.
So a little bit of everything.
Can we talk a little bit about that, or is that?
I worked for the Greek mafia. I've worked for the Italians. There were some Greeks in this small town that I lived in, and they had a restaurant, and it burned down. And they got the money. They got the money, and then they couldn't. It was against the law for them to get a liquor license in their name after that. So they married somebody, one of the waitresses, and got the liquor license in her name for their next restaurant that they got out of instead of burning down. But yeah, it was a trip. It was. I've had some pretty wild experiences.
Yeah, I was going to say we won't go too much into it. I don't want to find a horse's head next to me on the pillar. No. So where did you go from the restaurant business? Where was the next steps? Where'd you go?
I was actually in the restaurant business for almost 20 years. I went from the restaurant business to e-commerce. Yeah.
So let's carry on with the restaurant story where you obviously skip some of the details of the gangster stuff, just in case they listen to this podcast. Of course they won't, but never know.
Once I got tired of the small restaurant thing. Yeah. I started working with corporations. I went from dishwasher to manager before I was out of high school, and then never actually was an employee. I was always a manager after that. So I went into fine dining, 5-star resort. There's tons of resorts out here. So I've worked in a bunch of different resorts as dining room manager, room services manager. I was room services manager big resort for a long time. Met a lot of interesting people: Richard Nixon, Mick Jagger, Muhammad Ali, all kinds of.
Can we go in? Yeah, can we go into some of those stories? Let's talk about the greatest, Muhammad Ali. What was?
He was really cool. He has a Parkinson's Center right by a Marriott here, and he lived in the Marriott for a while. So I got to know him pretty well. Actually, I left Marriott because of a scandal that involved a job for him. But he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And the one thing that I noticed about him is, with Parkinson's and everything, inside he was the same shit talking guy, jumping up and down,
super sharp inside. This is the thing.
Oh yeah, sharp as a tack. He just couldn't get it out, and you could just tell how upsetting it was for him. It was that
He's frustrated.
Really, that really was a shocker for me. Yeah, that was a real shocker for me. So I guess I left out a real important thing. So back when I first got to Arizona, I was paralyzed in a car accident, and I wasn't the prognosis was not very good, to say the least. And I fought my way back from it. And,
I was going to say, we normally talk about your darkest hour just before dawn. If you don't mind, that's a lot to come back from mentally and obviously physically. Walk me through them times. What, if you don't mind sharing, what was the cause?
I was sitting on the back of my brother's car, and he drove off, and I somehow hit the cement head first, doing about 40 miles an hour.
Wow. And so, and how was
one of my head injuries?
So whilst on this one here so the paralyzation was caused by a head injury,
and nerve injuries in my my neck, my head.
And
I split my head open. Yeah, I was deaf for almost a year. I had surgery to have my ears rebuilt. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. I mean, I had to wear a patch over my eye. I was drooling. It was bad. It was really, 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 really bad.
And so, this is about comebacks as well. And I want entrepreneurs to learn these stories as well, because everyone has a past, right? They have their history. Yeah. They've got a book to write.
Yeah, and you got to get down to the very low to hit the top.
So where what was the breaking point for you in terms of getting it back on track? Meaning, look, I'm not going to lay here. I'm going to fight back.
The breaking point was seeing a doctor tell my mom that it might be permanent.
Right.
And seeing my mom just freak out.
Yeah.
And not being able to do a thing about it. I mean, I couldn't do a thing about it. And that really, really, really devastated me. And then from there, I started fighting it. So you know what a TENS unit is? You know, the little electrical stimulation thing they have?
Yeah.
Well, back then it was experimental. Right. And so they started experimenting on me with it. And this thing was like the size of a car jump starter, you know, those great big R2-D2 type units. And they'd hook me up to this thing, and I swear I'd levitate over the bed. They put so much juice into it. And at first it didn't do anything, but then I'd look in the mirror sometimes for hours and just try to move my nose, try to move my lip. And one time, all of a sudden, I noticed my nostril move.
Right.
You know, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it, you know. And then every day it was a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more. And I was just, there's no way. I mean, I felt abandoned. I felt like there was nothing. I felt abandoned, you know. I just felt abandoned by my faith and everything else. And I just decided that, you know, fuck this world. I'm either going to come out on top or I'm going to die trying. And really, I mean, that affects what I do every day.
I was going to say, yeah, because like you just a straight shooter, and I thought there might be some history there to as why, as a person, you know, your personality, your aura, you know,
it's all tied to that one day with my mom. Everything, every decision I make, every morning when I wake up and open my eyes, the first thing I think of is, wow, I can move. Cool. Thank you. I see the sun. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I can get out of bed on my own. I mean, every day is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Seriously, every day is an extra day that I probably shouldn't have.
Right.
You know, so I basically have this fuck it attitude, get out of my way. I'm going to do whatever I want to do because I can. I know I can. If I can come back from that I can accomplish anything I set my mind to.
Yeah. So when the recovery, like you were obviously self-physio, you said like you felt abandoned because like you feel helpless, right? And
Yeah.
no one around you were able to help you.
Yeah.
So you're left in this dark circle of life and you're like, okay, this is spinning around now. I've got to do, I can lay here, do nothing, or I can do something.
Oh, I was going nuts because in my head, I was going on 99 miles an hour.
Yeah. So how did you mentally break that cycle? I know like once you said you were able to start moving the nostril, and talk to me about that moment where that was a breakthrough, right? You got no movement and then that.
Well, I was either going to hate everything or not.
Yeah.
And I just started astral projecting, daydreaming of things that were better and focusing on that, focusing on that. I still do, if think about, I still do. I learned then that fuck what anybody says, people that tell you that you're going to be this and you can only accomplish this in life, they don't fucking know. They really don't. That's how I feel. I mean, Einstein, I've read these things where they thought Einstein was visited by aliens, and that's where he got his knowledge from. I don't buy any of that stuff. I really don't. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to. The only thing that holds us back is ourselves. Period. I mean, that's really, to me, in a nutshell, that's what it all is. Coming out of that, like in college, I had to get a waiver to get into the university because I was the youngest person ever admitted. And I'd have these professors looking at me, they said, "What are you doing here? Why are you here? How did you get in?" And when people tell me never, no, and you can't, I hear, yes, I'm gonna make you eat those words. Yeah. And really, I look at it, everything's a challenge.
Yeah. And so from being paralyzed, getting some slight movement, how long did it take you to do the physio to get, like, what was next?
9 months.
Like so you've done all this in 9 months and you were back on your feet.
Back on my feet, back in school, didn't miss, didn't get left back, nothing. I mean, I wasn't going to let it change my life. And the thought of still being 18 or 20 and in high school or whatever, I didn't like that idea at all. At all. I mean, I came from a city to a tiny little town of what I called socially retarded people. Because when you're in a small town, you can only have so many friends.
Yeah.
When you're in a school with 3,000 kids, you have a lot of friends. So I didn't want to be stuck out there. I just did not want to be in that situation. So it motivated me to work harder. It really, really did. Moving here, all that stuff totally changed my outcome.
So once you've got there, that's, I was on a life support machine at 15 and I had about 15% chance of living. And I had that same kind of attitude as you. I wasn't paralyzed. I had a half a ton of plasterboard collapsed on me. But I think that was my fuck it moment. Like, look, you are alive, right? If you don't take this now, you get one life, you get one shot. You just got to fucking go for it. That's why I ended up in the music industry when my local MP, when I wrote to him, said I should be a carpenter. It's that kind of mentality where you go, failure is not an option. You just got to go for it. And, the way I say it is you go out on your sword. You do whatever, you leave it all in the ring. And then if you've done your best, you've done your best, and that's it. So with the, you're at 20 now, you're back on your feet. We're kind of covered back and forth here because we dealt with the gangster stories and Muhammad Ali, which is an inspirational guy for anyone, he broke through a lot of stuff as well through the 60s and 70s with racism and stuff like that it was going through, and he's a great thought leader as well as a champion for people.
Did you know that Eminem and there's other hip hop artists that considered Muhammad Ali the father of hip hop?
Right.
I mean, I never really thought about that, but then when I heard about it, I mean, it makes sense, just the talk and the rhythm and the lyrics and stuff. Really.
Oh, you mean, yeah. So when he would be rapping to to his opponents at weigh-ins and stuff to get into their head. Yeah. I don't think he was the first ever person to rap, but I know what you mean. It's like it's an upgrade of jive talking, and so he was getting into rhyming and stuff there as well. So we're at 20. You got back from the break. You're back on your feet. You know, you've done school. You're in the catering industry there still. Just walk me through some more stuff. Let's work up a timeline 20 to 30.
I got married. I met my wife, got married, traded my business for something else, and just was in the hotels and resorts. And I didn't like the corporate life. I did well in the corporate life, but I'm a little too in your face for the corporate life. I didn't follow the rules.
Basically, mate, you don't kiss people's ass, and that's the problem. You can't get in the corporate world. In order to get on, you have to have two sets of faces. Unless you're willing to play the game, you're going to get fucking annihilated.
Yeah, and you have to accept shit for too long before you can do something about it, and that just wasn't me at all. Yeah. So I was in and out of that. I was actually in the corporate world until I got into e-commerce, but I was also I started consulting for people, and I ran a lot of different really nice restaurants, which I liked. I didn't like little kids, so I generally stayed in nice restaurants and nice hotels because you didn't have little kids. I didn't have to deal with little kids. I worked in a really nice steakhouse chain for 10 years as a GM, and learned a lot there. Actually, learned an awful lot there. And so I did that up until the mid 90s. And in the mid 90s, I kind of realized that there's no life in the restaurant business. Even when you're in charge, you're gone at night. You're gone on all the holidays. So my first e-commerce business was in 1996, giving relocation data to people moving to Arizona. At the time, 20,000 people were moving to this county every month. So for $50, I'd send you a packet of housing developments, schools, shopping, the demographics. It was all free, but people were too lazy to figure out where to get it. So I started doing that, and I was doing really well. I was featured on the local news here in the morning one time, and the state tourism office saw it, and they started doing what I was doing for free after they saw me doing it, which actually makes sense. So that killed that business. And then, so I stayed in the restaurant business. I started consulting in restaurants then, which was actually really cool. It was fun. I like doing that. I like consulting. I like helping other people. I realized that then. So my ex-wife is real arts and craftsy, and she would paint cow skulls. That was her thing. It's Arizona. We'd get cow skulls for cheap. She'd paint them and try and sell them. And I had these things hanging all over my house. So I decided I had to find a different way to get rid of them. So I started my first website. And I knew that my audience was this big, and I wanted my audience to be this big. So I added a bunch of artists, all consignment, furniture, custom furniture, Native American art, cowboy art. I mean, it's all really big here. And that's how I learned how to source locally. It was all drop shipping. I had my overhead was the cow skulls at first. What I learned then was look around you. Why do people come visit where you live? What does everybody have to have when they come visit where you live? We have all these sellers all over the world. They all live somewhere. What does everybody have to have when they visit? There's your first product right there. You can source it locally. You can drop ship it, and you can build your company. That's really, I totally learned that doing that.
So this is mid 90s. Obviously, 99. Okay, so we're still internet slow, dial up, AOL, old school email addresses. Have you still got an AOL email address somewhere?
Yeah, I know people that use AOL.
Still?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Still. Right? Yeah, I know, it's funny. So then you could put your URL on your Amazon product page and eBay too. So even though Amazon was mostly books, I put my products on Amazon and used it to drive traffic.
Yeah.
I was a beta tester for Overture for the original CPC. so it was really interesting. I mean, I was in the ground floor.
Is Overture, it's the analytics program. It's like a grade up from Google Analytics. Is it that one you're talking about? Because they've got a suite.
Yeah, Overture was it was like Google. Overture was a search engine.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
GoTo and Overture were before Google. They basically started CPC.
Yeah.
So I remember owning all of my keywords for 4 cents a click.
Mm.
And I remember being really pissed off when it got to 25 cents a click.
Yeah.
And then,
good luck with that now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You look at what people pay now. Yeah. So I did really well with that. I did really well. I started making some of the furniture myself. Then I started going through divorce. And in my divorce, I put the business up for sale as just part of the divorce. We settled the divorce. I got the business. And I was doing this show here called Country Thunder. It's a country western 3-day country western concert. I had a booth at it, and I had like 1 week left on the sale contract with the realtor for my business. And this dude comes walking up through the dust and says, I hear you got your business for sale. I was like, yeah. And he's like, how about if I give you 10% more than you're asking? And I had put an ungodly amount up as an asking price. I didn't want to sell to begin with. So I just kind of looked at him and said, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. 8 days later, I had cash in hand. And it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. So I at that point, I was already consulting for other sellers, helping other sellers get online, other businesses. So I kept that side of the business and just kept doing that. And I had gotten full custody of my kids. So I took time off to raise my kids and just consulted for a few years.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 sons. They're in their 20s now. They're both, one graduated college already. The other one's in college, lives right here on the other side of this wall here. Probably asleep. I have 2 great kids, and I never expected to be a single dad, but I'd do it again if I had to.
Are you still a single dad now?
I guess that's what you call me.
Because you mentioned divorced. I didn't know if you got remarried.
Yeah. No, I'm single. In that sense, I'm single. Yep. And I'm happy. I'm happy. However, something that part of the whole thing when I was, hurt and stuff, something that I learned, you hear people say, have a nice day all the time. I never say that. I will never say that. It's not about having a nice day. It's about making it a great day. I choose who I allow to fuck up my day. If my day's bad, it was my choice to allow somebody else to fuck up my day. I choose not to allow people to fuck up my day. People think that, sometimes from my tone that I'm mad or I'm happy or whatever. I don't give a shit, tell you the truth. I really don't. I'm passionate about
that's what I love about you. You just don't give a flying fuck. I think it's hilarious. Like when I speak to you, sometimes you're like this, and and it's I find it fucking hilarious because you can just be you. There's no mask,
Yeah, no, it's just, there's nobody that looks out for anybody, anybody besides themselves. You're in it, for yourself. It doesn't matter what people tell you they're going to do for you. You still got to watch yourself and cover your own ass. And far too many people get into this business and they're too accepting of somebody's truth, as being the best way to do things. And they screw themselves. And that bothers me. When I see somebody blowing their family's savings over stupid stuff, it does piss me off. It really does piss me off. And that I'm passionate about that stuff. I'm passionate about helping the little guy most of the time. Most of the time, not all the time, most of the time. But so then, I got back into full-time helping mortgage companies, helping mortgage agents with an online, with getting a mortgage application online. So then I started helping these mortgage agents with closing their deals and finding information out, doing the backup research and stuff. That's a business. It really is a business. And that worked a little while until the housing market went poof. I started working with 3P sellers, and I learned that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, even if you hold its head under the water. So I stopped working with 3P sellers. It was dragging my own stuff down. And I couldn't say no is what it was. I couldn't say no to anybody. And so I'd take the worst clients, and it would just fuck up my life and fuck up my own business. So
yeah, listen, if you don't mind, let's talk about this, the nightmare clients that you take on, because the impact it has on yourself, and no one's happy if the client's not happy.
Right.
If you're not happy, your team's not happy, the check isn't worth it. And everyone's fucking miserable. So how did you manage to go and get sovereignty and agency in terms of, I'm going to say no, I'm going to set boundaries. How did that work for you? What was the driver behind that?
I stopped working with 3P sellers.
But they can't all be fucking arseholes. What I meant is that like you always had problem clients. So
it took me a while to get up the balls to learn to say no. And to fire. I mean, I fired more clients than have fired me. It's just, when it's not working out, it's not working out, and I'll be the first to say it's not working out. But I'll also say, it might work better for you with this person. Yeah. I mean, I'm not looking.
I'm a big advocate of that. I'm going to back you there. Is that sometimes I call it a dance partner as well, because it's not just. It's like, what can you do for the client, and can you get on with each other well? Because part of that is a partnership that it's not carrot and stick. It's like helping them to get to where they want to go, and sometimes you have to say the short nose in order for them to go off in the right direction, find the right people, which is the right fit. And then I think what happens is it's a win-win for everyone. Short term, it doesn't seem like that, but long term, I think most people look back, go, you know what? That was a great move. We've done that, done this, and that's what you want. You need to not only add the best for yourself, but you've got to add the best for clients as well. But I see what you're saying is when you're growing a business, people say yes to everything because they need to get to cash flow and everything else, and then they end up stressing out. I had a conversation with one of my friends the other day who's a developer, and he was really struggling with someone, and it was running around burning his team out. And I just said, just got to put some boundaries in place, and he wasn't going to let them. He had a chat with them, and it was cool. And then someone referred him, and then he had a chat with him, and it was cool. And then 2 days later, it all kicked off again.
Yeah, we all have an ideal customer. We all have an
but
ideal
on the flip
customer
side, you've got to look at is that there's the client, and then you work for the client as well. So, and that's not to absolve anyone who's not delivering. You got to deliver. Do you know what I mean? It's a two-way street. It's so important to get that, because that's how they grow their businesses as well. Or you help them grow their businesses by having the right dance partner. But sometimes you can come across as an arsehole by saying no, but you're actually trying to do it for the right thing. Because I think saying yes and taking the check off someone is actually worse.
It is.
Than saying no to someone, not taking the check, and say there is a better fit for you. Work with that dance partner.
Yeah, I know who I work best with, and I also know who I don't work well with, and I'm not afraid to say it. Yeah. And that learning that and being able to live that, it's out of reach for a lot of business people, and it leads to a lot of businesses going down because they take on the wrong kind of person. I have my ideal client. And I also have the client that I will avoid at all costs. I'll help them. I'll tell them who can help them. I won't rub it in, but I won't take them either. And that really totally changed my business. Yeah, absolutely changed my business.
And I think it's important to say this is not elitism. This is about doing the right thing for the long term for both parties that are involved. I think it's super important to get that right.
I know who I have no patience with. That doesn't mean they're bad.
No. Because it's a personality conflict as well. You've got to fit. You've got to be able to see their vision, match their vision, and also reach their targets. Right? We're in business, right? People are competitive. People want the best. They want every last bit, and they want to make everything work. And they should do that. That is the right thing to do to maximize.
For a long time, I wouldn't take any sellers that only sold on Amazon, only because they didn't have that vision of other things that were possible, and it just did not line up with my vision. That was really it. It wasn't that they were doing anything wrong, or I was doing anything right. It was just some things work out together and some things don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's still people. I turn away more people than I take as clients still all the time. And sometimes I'm just too busy. Other times I just know better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all about, for me, it's about effort and attitude. I can teach anybody to do anything. I can't teach ambition. If you don't have the ambition or the willpower to want to get in there and do whatever it takes, I can't help you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's really what it comes down to. You know, Neil Patel, I look at these guys like Neil Patel, you know, and Grant Cardone and all them. They have this team of people that comes, put you through the ringer before they'll take you as a client. You know, they don't take everybody. And some, you know, some of them just do it because they want to make sure you can afford them. Others do it because they only take clients that they know they can create wins for. They don't challenge themselves. But
well, then if you don't, you're only going to take the money. There's no point in taking on a client if you can't help them. If you're taking,
I like the challenge. To me, it's a video game. It's like it's totally like a video game of, you know, we have all these obstacles and there's the treasure, you know, and you got to climb the mountain and kill the dragon or whatever, and to move to the next level. And I mean, it's just a game, the whole thing. I mean, that's looking at it like that. I'm able to let go of certain things too. You know, oh, that's not worth it. You know, it's not worth the time, because then I'm going to miss that opportunity there. And I mean, I love what I love what I do now. I really, really do. I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing sellers, you know, have that, oh, wow moment, you know, when the light bulb comes on and they start seeing results from their efforts that they never thought would work.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what they've always learned.
Feeling. Yeah. It's seeing, like, when we've had exits and stuff for our clients have had exits and we've helped them on the PPC side. I make that clear. We don't create the success for the client. All we do is help some guidance in certain areas. And I'm proud of what we've achieved. Success. But there's nothing better than speaking to the client and they've had their exit, phoning them and saying, how do you feel? It's the greatest feeling in the world. Even though you've just lost a year, 2 years worth of revenue walk out the door, I don't care. Knowing they took that legacy money off the table makes me so happy. It doesn't make my day, but I enjoy that, to know that they go, right, you tucked away some money for your family. I love that.
I've always gotten my best clients from my clients. Yeah. Always. I've never advertised. I prefer not to. I don't want just those people that are flipping through the book and looking at names. I want the person that already knows what I'm about, you know. And I mean, I've had people show up for their first coaching session with a business plan, you know, and all the things that I talk about already done, you know, and they're like, here, this is what we're doing. We've been following you for a year and done everything that you've said. And I mean, that always, like, oh, wows me, you know. It's really, really interesting. And you can tell, you can just tell from some people that, you know, that they have way more than they see in themselves.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Let's get to, we're still in the mid-90s, you know, we've still got 20 odd years to go. So
yeah, actually, I sold that business in 2003.
2003. All right. So 2003, where are we here? Because you've already had an experience of Amazon, early doors, books, but you're selling other products on there.
So I was helping businesses get on the internet. The whole time I was consulting and helping, you know, there's businesses everywhere. Then they were everywhere. They weren't on the internet. And I was helping big corporations understand the importance of online marketing, as well as the little mom and pop shops that didn't think that they could compete, you know, against the big corporations. So early on, my thing was helping level the playing field for small businesses. Yeah. Because on the internet, at that time, no big business had that much of an advantage over the little guys. And the little guys didn't see that. So I focused on that for a long time, through like 2008, when I stopped working with 3P and went corporate. Yeah. And I mean, we had insane results and nuts results. I started with one corporation and they had done $29,000 on the internet in the previous year. And in the first 5 months of working for them, we did over $1 million, opened up 9 stores, and just, you know, sent their revenue through the roof. just had a lot of successes like that in the late 2000s, even during the housing bust. That stuff was really satisfying. We were beta testers for FBA. We got in. I got screwed by Amazon and moved to buy.com.
Yeah.
And we did really well on buy.com. I started trying other marketplaces and in other countries, and that was a trip. It was a trip. Operating in another country where you can't even speak the language. You're selling products, and their shipping is, at times an elephant. It was pretty crazy. It was really, really crazy. It was fun though. I had a lot of fun doing that. And then 2009, I went all corporate and built my agency starting then. And it just went from there. I had a lot of people. I'd get my clients on the golf course, and I don't golf. It was never me. It was just them going out with their business friends, bragging about their numbers. And then their business friends would call me. And I have a couple really, really, really large corporate clients that I've had for 10 years. And I mean, I love it. They're great clients, and I get access to a lot of things that, different things that I wouldn't get access to. Like one of them sat in on the phone call with the president earlier in the year when COVID first started. I got to sit in and hear that whole presentation. It's interesting. So I've been around. I know a lot of people in this business, a lot of people that have grown and advanced and stuff. So I have ways sometimes of finding out a lot of things that are a year out, year and a half out, and that helps my clients.
Yeah,
that totally helps my clients knowing what's going to, seeing things that are working, that are happening. If you go back to Amazon's SEC filings from 2005 to 2008, he describes exactly what they're doing now as their future goal. It's really, really, really interesting. I like to understand what makes certain people tick.
Yeah.
And their backgrounds, why they make certain decisions. It's made Amazon easier to deal with, understanding where Jeff Bezos is coming from and understanding, where he gets his business ideas from.
Yeah.
This is a great business. I mean, and it's not oversaturated. There's new frontiers everywhere. There's more than enough business for Amazon, Walmart, Shopify. It's nuts. The growth and the amount of growth that's still possible is nuts.
So we got to 2009. Where did we go from here?
From there until 2017, I worked a lot. I buckled my head down, and we busted a lot of ass. We did a lot of work with corporate clients, expanding worldwide onto other platforms. I learned a lot about building custom systems, like using FileMaker to build a specific system for a client to be able to operate multiple platforms as one store. It's all about saving time and automating, saving footsteps. Expansion in e-commerce can be very, very overwhelming because every platform is just not different enough to operate separately. So if you have 5 platforms, you have 5 separate businesses that you have to run every day. It's a lot of work. So it's about combining steps, automating where you can automate. And that's come a long, long way. I've worked with channel advisors before. I've worked with some of those big guys. They're okay. None of them offer, nobody like that offers everything you need. They can't all be everything to everyone. So FileMaker actually is a really good program that you can hire programmers to use to incorporate all of your different programs into one and make them work well for not a lot of money. Not a lot of money at all. So it's checking orders on all your stores. It's updating inventory on all your stores, processing your orders as one, things like that. That stuff. It's all about sanity and quality of life. If you can't automate what you do and have that much extra work because of it, where's the quality of life? What makes it fun? It's not worth it. It's not worth the profit you make.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. So I spend a lot of time with people trying to help them fix their systems or improve their systems just to make things easier.
What's talk me through, if you don't mind, what's some of your biggest failures, or you would consider as failures?
I've never failed per se, because everything I've ever done has made me who I am today. So how can they be failures?
Okay, let's change failure to learnings.
Yeah, right. My divorce was probably the biggest.
It's tough. I mean, people go through divorces. It's so tough.
Oh yeah, it was nuts.
And it can take years to get over.
And for me, it did. I mean, I had 2 small kids that I was not prepared to be a single dad at all. At all. I mean, it was rough for me for a long time, but I have family nearby. And my kids are good. They're smart, and they're hellions then too. But we're in a good school system that helped. For me, meshing that with my business, the way I work, and everything else, that was really, really difficult, and probably took me 5 or 6 years to be able to get down to a system. But so, I've had different products that I've never had major product failures where we're sitting on a ton of product that we have to liquidate per se. But it's a challenge. So, but I have had, products where we lowered the cost, bundled it with other items. I've had plenty of products that don't do well on Amazon that we had to find a different outlet for.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a bad product. There's bad strategy, bad placement, bad timing, bad price, bad platforms. So for me, I've had a lot of success and failure of trying different places, trying different platforms. If I have a product, I'm not going to liquidate it until I have to. I'm going to take it somewhere else.
You exhaust all the avenues.
Yeah, where's the audience? Amazon is a cashier stand. Nobody goes there to hang out. Where do people go to hang out? Finding that successfully is hard. And so as far as failures go, I mean, I've failed a million times trying to get to my audience through different means that just didn't work.
Yeah.
You think, we all hear these stories. Oh, I did this. How to build your following by 1 million people in 8 days, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, great. One guy did it once. Is it repeatable? But does that work for my audience and my product? You don't know, And when I was younger, my attitude with everything was, I'm going to throw everything at the wall, and then what sticks is great. What hits the floor, sweep it up, get it out of the way. And I got a ton of experience doing that. I'm real anal about certain things, and one of them is keeping track of listing changes, keeping track of traffic sources. So I have a database that my clients get access to that has 250 traffic sources that I've used over the last 20 years. It's got over 100 conversion optimization strategies that I've used. It's got over 100 list building strategies that I used. It's got over 100 link building strategies that I've used. It's just all these things that the last few years I've been working into getting into one place to be able to make available for my clients and for sellers. That's really been my focus for the last few years, is just getting all of my experience on paper to get out there for people to use.
Yeah. We're coming towards the end now. I want to get your thoughts on the Amazon explosion 2015. I know that you're not a seller per se, because you work mainly to support people, and most of your work is off of Amazon, and you're a big proponent of that. But where did you really not notice the gold rush, if you like? Was it 2015 you see the explosion?
No, I saw it in like 2007 or 2008.
What, an explosion because of the amount of people coming on, or it's just the uplift from the early 2000s?
It was the ease of being able to get rich. knowing what getting a product on there, and it was just so easy to find your niche then.
Yeah.
So what I saw, what really kind of shocked me was the first time I got into the Facebook groups, which is like 2016 or so, and saw how sellers were being taught to succeed on Amazon, and that it actually kind of bothered me. There were just so many people getting on Amazon. It was insane, and everybody was getting on Amazon, and still do. They come to Amazon with these beer goggles on. They think they're going to be driving a Lambo in a week, and they can quit their job already, and it's going to rain Skittles by Friday, and it just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. If your mom was right when she said, "If it sounds too good to be true, it is." I mean, really, nothing good happens without a lot of hard work. Period. End of story. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. I mean, I've never, ever not had that, experienced that. And I saw the explosion of people coming on, but the failure rate is ridiculous. It's worse this year because of COVID. And that to me, there's no bar of entry. That's the problem. It's a very low bar of entry. In 2008, I pitched an idea to Amazon to make a Sims game, an Amazon Marketplace Sims game, for people to learn, to live trade, to do everything that we do on Amazon, but as a game. So when they started on Amazon, they had experience. And they laughed at me. They're like, yeah, screw that, blah, blah, blah. That's hello. How different would it be for new sellers now if they had something like that to get real life experience without it costing them anything before they actually go live?
Yeah. So like a practicing trading desk, but obviously selling products on Amazon is a simulation. Yeah.
I mean, look at how we all learned Windows. Bill Gates gave computers to schools. That's how we all learned Windows and got hooked on Windows, here at least.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thought process at that time with Amazon, was create a legion of sellers that know how to sell before they actually sell. And then that's the low bar of entry, meaning that anybody can get in, is part of one of the negatives of it, because it's people just get in with the wrong expectation. It comes down to expectations.
So what's your plans for the future? I know we're dealing with COVID at the moment. Like you're an old war horse. You don't give a fuck about COVID. You just got on with it, right?
Yeah.
But what are your undisturbed plans, or plan to be undisturbed plans?
So my biggest pet peeve with sellers is the lack of pre-marketing. So I am working on this system. I don't know how it's going to end up yet, but it's a week by week walkthrough for 6 months. Every day, basically spend an hour of doing this. At the end of 6 months, you've got a marketing machine in place. You've got a website set up. You've got a following. You've got all these things in place, and you haven't launched yet. So you can launch either on Amazon or off. And launching should be your grand opening, not the first day of the learning curve. Yeah. When you launch, the learning curve should be ending. And that's really something that I'm really starting to focus on. So I have a system that I've set up. I'm probably going to write a book that goes with it. And it'll be, it's an everyday, a 6 month progress of, so right now it's called 0 to Hero Marketing Plan. Yeah. I'll change the name at some point. But it's starting with nothing. And then at 6 months, you've got a business, whether you go into a product, or you're going for informational products, or you're just trying to push your candidate, whatever. You've got a marketing machine all set up.
I'm going to go to the comments before we shut out the show. Matt says, hello, chaps. Don't dial it back too far. Rumor has it Joe is very active in the Wild West. Yeehaw. What did Matt mean by that? And he also said that you've invented the mullet. Quickly say here, Amy, two of my favorite guys in one show. Matt's back here again. Joe will be fighting off the ladies with a big stick after this, talking about after your divorce. He'll be making a great day for ladies across the road, across the world. But he's actually finished here in this by saying, Thanks for all you do, Joe. As a mentor, you helped us scale early on and overcome all the obstacles in front of us, also driving us to build a proper business.
Thanks,
Facebook
man.
user says, hey guys, and Cy says, Joe is a beast, and I think he means in beast mode work. I hope so, Cy. He's a regular of the show. Always end with an in-depth 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Money or legacy?
Legacy.
How would you like to be remembered?
As a good dad, somebody that helped other people and did, just set their own things aside to help, to go out of their way to help others and help other people see what life can be.
That was your in-depth.
Yeah. I mean, I'm easy. It's pretty simple, it really is. It's simple. Yeah. It's not that complicated. Be yourself. Don't let anybody stand in your way. When people tell you no, tell them to fuck off and get out of your way.
Yeah. I love that attitude. Cool. What is the best way that people can reach you?
I have my website, ecommerce-optimizer.com. I'm in all the Facebook groups. I'm around a lot. I answer a lot of questions in the Facebook groups now. On Instagram also. I have a YouTube channel. Everything's Ecom Optimizer. Easy to find.
Cool, guys. We just moved our new tool out of beta. Best, worst keyword tool. Optimize your search term reports in a fraction of the time. Visit databrill.com/tool. I'd love to get your feedback on that. And don't forget, if you haven't already, vote now at sellerpol.com, brought to you by Ferrasio. I'll be back here on Monday. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. Take care. Look after your family. And again, thank you to the audience and thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Danny.